Here is 2002 Lexus RX 300, and it has a bit of a problem. There it is. It's leaking oil, and from what I've seen from below, it's leaking probably from the oil pressure switch. But let's have a look also from the top and see if we can see something higher up. So from the bottom it looked like it's the oil pressure switch, but from the top I see that there's nothing really leaking here. There's just a little bit of like condensation there. It's not really leaking anything. Nothing leaking here. And also if I try to look here into this gap, I don't really see anything leaking there. Here. So it does look like it's over there where the oil pressure switch is. Right there. So there are two sensors there. I think one of them is oil pressure, the other one is something else. The oil pressure sensor switch has one wire. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there with one wire. I think that's what's leaking because it's the highest part that has a lot of oil on it. Let's open the side here. This plastic, there's a plastic piece there. Let's open it and have a look. Maybe we'll have a better view there. So now I've put some jack stands there. I raised the vehicle on these ramps, and we'll need to remove just this cover, and we should be able to see a bit more. So now that this cover is out, I think it's relatively clear that the oil leak is coming from that oil pressure switch, because that's the wettest part, the highest wettest part I can see. And it could be this black connector, this black sensor, but unless it's kind of squirting there. But if it was squirting, it would have squirted also on the belt, and the belt is relatively okay. No, actually it's, yeah, let me check. No, the belt is okay, the belt is dry. The pulley is also dry. So it's probably the pressure switch. It's known that synthetic oil, when the vehicle is switching from conventional oil to synthetic oil, that you can have leaks. So I'm using synthetic oil, and I'm not sure what people used before me on this vehicle, but I would guess regular, because it's 5W30, and 5W30 you can get regular oil. So I would guess people use the regular oil, and I switched to synthetic, so that could be the reason for the leak. And now I bought this regular oil, so I'll actually change the oil to regular one, put a new filter. Maybe that's just the reason. The other thing is that I'm using performance filter, has a better filtration, but it also probably makes more restriction for the oil. Maybe it's dirty and it creates a lot of restriction, and the pressure is a bit higher than usual, and there's where the weak spot is at the oil pressure switch, and it's leaking there. So this is a closer look at the sensor. The gray connector is the oil pressure switch sensor, and the black one is something else, but that's not really leaking. When I look closer, it is the oil pressure switch that's leaking, because that's the highest part that has oil on it, and it does have big amount of oil on it accumulated already, and everything above it is dry. So of course I'll need to remove the gray sensor connector, so that's our oil pressure switch, but I also remove the black connector because it's a bit in the way. I don't want to break any wires or anything like that. There is a tab that you have to press to remove it, but it's all oily, so it's not always an easy job reaching in there. After several attempts to remove that connector, finally, just by bare hands and a piece of sandpaper, it allowed itself to be removed. And now I cleaned it, actually beforehand I cleaned it with some brake cleaner, so now it's all clean here. But here inside I see it's not clean. There's oil inside, and I kind of suspect it's leaking internally through the plastic and not through the thread. So it's a bit more of a replace the sensor scenario than tightening it up. So I'll just go ahead and replace it. Now I just need a socket that will fit there, and away we go. I forgot to mention, so before I do that, of course, I need to drain the oil, do my regular oil change without filling it. So I'll just drain the oil, then I'm gonna try to remove it. But actually first I'm gonna try to find a socket to fit it. If I have one, then it's away we go, but if I don't, I'll need to figure something out. So I cleaned it a little bit more with the brake cleaner. Yeah, you can't fool me twice. This time I was wearing glasses. Now I've also disconnected this black one, and it seems clean inside, so it's probably that this one's leaking internally. Now I have a bit more space there. This is the new switch from Napa, and it doesn't have anything on the thread, so I'll need to use some tape for that. Looks kind of similar. So it turns out I actually have a perfect socket for it, and it's a sensor socket, 7/8, but it's an oxygen sensor socket. But it fits nicely. So the sensor socket actually fits the new sensor, but I can't fit it on the old one for some reason. It's slightly too small, so I'm just gonna check if I can find online or in the store somewhere something a little bit bigger, or find the size of that nut that's on the original sensor, and maybe I can still do it today. So in the end, yesterday I bought the wrong size. In a hurry, before the store closed, I bought the wrong size. This is 1 inch and 1 1/6 inches switches. So this is GM and some other cars. So this is a no-go, and it didn't fit. Tried foil, paper, whatever, didn't fit. It's too big. And then I went this morning to Napa and bought 24mm ones, and it works perfect. So I'll just use this one. And now finally, let's see, maybe I can do it. I actually had a 24, but it's a shallow socket, so didn't work. So now I was able to loosen it. Let's drain the oil through the old oil pan and change the filter, change the sensor, fill the oil, ready to go. So this is how the old one looks like. Pretty dirty, and see there's a remainder, there's some remaining gasket on it, so I'll try to clean it, clean the hole there as much as I can, as best as I can. And this is the new sensor. Seems to be the same, but I guess we'll see. So now I put a bit of a Teflon tape here, just a little bit, and now I think it's ready. The new sensor is there, it's connected, ready to go. Change the oil filter, fill the oil, and we can ride. So that's the old K&N filter, and this is the new, oh, I have some washers there. This is the new Lexus filter, Toyota oil filter. Gasket is there, awesome. Old one is there. The new filter is there. I put it in, just hand tightened it. Should be okay. As I said, today's flavor is Castrol GTX Ultra Clean because it was on sale. Oil is full, sensor is in, filter is in. Let's start it up. Starting it up. Yeah. So, good job.